Today we're paddling from Great Cranberry to the south of Mount Desert and Acadia National Park to Stave Island. We decided to bypass the busy tourist stop at Bar Harbor. Man, porpoise sightings never get old. It's always magical. We often hear them blowing on the surface before we actually see them. Paddling along the southern edge of Mount Desert. This is Acadia National Forest, or National Park. Been here many times, but never seen it from this vantage point. It's really fun to see the rocky coastline. Beautiful day for a paddle. Just passed some porpoises, or rather they passed us. You most likely have heard of wild-caught salmon and farm salmon, but have you heard of wild farm-raised salmon? We came across a number of these large salmon fisheries during our paddles in Maine and Canada. These are salmon fisheries that are comprised of 10 to 12 cages placed in areas of open ocean with open nets that extend 30 feet below the surface to the seabed. The answer as to whether these fisheries are good or bad does not have a simple answer, and the debate has been going on for many years. Fish provide essential nutrition to billions of people worldwide. 3 billion people of the 8 billion on our planet rely on seafood as a source of protein in their diet. As the world population increases and fish are threatened by polluted waterways, loss of habitat due to destruction, warming waters and overfishing, fish farming, known as aquaculture, has evolved to help reduce the pressure on wild fish stocks. More than 50% of the seafood we eat today is farmed. The $20 billion a year farm salmon industry is the world's fastest growing producer. Farm fish, whether in pens ashore or in wild cages in the ocean, have been associated with higher levels of polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, which are a probable carcinogen. Use of antibiotics and pesticides to try and control the increased level of sea lice and viruses due to overcrowded fish. Massive amounts of untreated wastewater from the farm salmon fisheries can thwart the growth of other nearby marine life as well. One of the solutions to this problem is to use recirculating tanks to treat wastewater and cycle it back into a closed tank. Another measure being focused on is limiting the amount of wild-caught fish that is used for feed and fish farming. Currently, a quarter of the fish caught in the world is used for feed and aquaculture, or in pet food. This puts a tremendous strain on wild fish populations. The wild-caught fishery can also have a downside. The UN Food and Agricultural Organization estimates that 85% of the world's fisheries are fully exploited or overfished. Up to 1 in 5 fish served today worldwide are illegally caught. Increased fossil fuels are burned to reach the wild fish populations further offshore. Dredging and trawling can result in loss of other fish species due to bycatch. Human trafficking and labor abuse has been associated with fisheries in some countries. For some insight, check out the podcast The Outlaw Ocean, sponsored by CBC Podcasts and the LA Times. With variations in labeling or no label at all in the case of seafood consumed at a restaurant, it is difficult at best to often determine the source of the fish. While I don't have a right or wrong answer, and man, I do love fish and seafood, I've determined that by opening my eyes to the state of our oceans, gathering information and continuing conversations to educate myself on various fishing practices and companies that engage in more sustainable practices, I can only become a more conscientious consumer. For recommendations on obtaining the seafood you consume from a sustainable source, check out seafoodwatch.com, a resource from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Sea Watch. One of their recommendations is to consider choosing a less popular fish in your diet rather than those that are being overfished. WorldWildlife.org is another good resource. This morning we're up and headed for Winter Harbor. I could have spent more time on Stave. Stave is a great little island with a rock outcropping on the southwest side that looks over across Frenchman's Bay to Bar Harbor. It was a wonderful spot to watch the sunset and the lights come up over Cadillac Mountain. It's quite foggy this morning, but we have one little hop across this bay and then we can hug the coast the rest of the way to Winter Harbor. We see many areas of rippling water this morning, fins flipping on the surface. As we get closer, we see hundreds of thousands of silvery bodies darting below the surface.
Some dense fog. You can hear the boats, but you can't see them. Rounding the point into Winter Harbor, which I perceive there'll be more boats, so we'll try and hug the shore closely. What a decadent trip this has been, full of micro challenges and macro enjoyment. And it's a little bit of struggle, just to remind us that it shouldn't be easy. It's gonna burn off over there to our right, I think.
We booked a stay at Mainstay Cottages in Winter Harbor for several nights in order to clean up, dry out a bit, and give our gear a freshwater rinse. portion, a lesser-known area of Acadia National Park, is nearby, so we hopped on the shuttle to take a loop ride through the park. It was a strange sensation to be riding in a motorized vehicle and to look out on the water where we've been paddling for many weeks now. I already have the itch to get back on the water, but I'm enjoying the luxuries ashore, especially the food. We stopped off at Me and Ben's Dairy Cream to try their well-known soft-serve blueberry ice cream, which did not disappoint. Another stopover was at the Winter Harbor Co-op, where we enjoyed fresh lobster rolls and clam chowder fresh off the boat.
I think that's what you saw the other day.
Yep, I think it is too.
I don't know what it is.
It's got a big head.
Is it a sunfish? That's a sunfish.
Options designated in the guidebooks in this section of Maine, we thought we might find a spot to camp on this island, but it seems filled with birds and wildlife, and we don't want to disturb them, so we'll continue north.
Given the option, we would always prefer to camp at designated campsites. While we camp by the leave no trace practices, it is never comfortable to just pitch your tent on someone's private land or land that is not designated for camping. But sometimes weather and geographic shortcomings get you, and you need to take safe harbor. Fortunately, when the fog forced us to set up on Cranberry Point, it also hit us from the locals. I cannot say we were not thinking someone would come walking out of the fog and discover us, but we did have a sensation of being on our own little peninsula.
Let's go now.
Beach of nightmares. That's what nightmares are made of. Carrying stuff. They call it a cobblestone beach often, which denotes nice pictures of the English countryside. But no, it is big rolling, thundering boulders you can't stand on. You twist your ankles on, can't carry anything on. Quite horrible. Okay, I'm going to grab a board for Katie's kitchen because we're going to spend a couple days here. Here we go. Maybe that one, but I think this one is better.
As you can see, we have our setup here. Sean was nice enough to find a plank on the beach set up by two rocks, conveniently located right at the high tide mark. We set this up earlier in the day, and I guess a little bit of luck and a little bit of looking at where the beach lies, we managed to hit it just right. So here we are.
This is my MSR International stove. I've had this for 20 plus years and it still cooks well. I think I've cleaned it once and I've replaced the pump in the stove once. Not too windy tonight, so we don't need a windscreen, I don't think. Day of paddling. We paddled about 4 hours, so I think we need a little sustenance. We were both feeling a little bit fatigued when we hit camp, and it was hot, there was no shade, so I think we're feeling a little bit down, so we're heavy on the rice tonight.